as soon as I saw that the cover of the chapter wasn't of Gray, like the cover image, I knew that things were not looking good for a display of Gray's magic in this chapter. And it took me like a moment to kind of realize where why they wrapped up so fast in this chapter. But then when we see the moments of Selene and Yoko at the end, I think it really heavily is more put on Selene's character this chapter than anybody else's. But like the chapter starts out pretty fair from where we left off. It was Gray and he's up against, Carla and Happy as like these big, more powerful tigers. And obviously like Wendy in the last moment they saw like he tried to freeze them, didn't work, doesn't work on their spiritual power. I'm wondering why that is exactly still. Of like why ice can't really do anything to spirits. Is it like maybe they just have like some weird intangibility power that kind of translates into this? Maybe it has something to do with like the lore behind this creature. Like I can't remember what the two types of tigers that was called that went along with the yokai, but it's probably something that's to do with that. But he was going to end up using just physical strength, but at the same time, like he was just thinking about how like who these people were, how it wasn't just two big cat enemies. He's thinking about Happy and Carla, and he wasn't able to attack, but like Natsu coming in, Natsu just rolls right into both of them, and it's because Natsu doesn't really look at them as like these cute small cats. They're his friends. He's fine brawling with them, so that quick solution again made complete sense to me. Like, if brute force can work, then obviously Gray can just, if he could, manage to muster up the, break past his character to do it. That's one thing, but obviously that was a difficult thing for him to do. Whereas, like, Nazi just goes into it. I really wanted to see Gray's magic this chapter. Like, they should all have something advanced about them. Like, even if Gray's is something very simple, I'm hoping to see something from just Gray. And if Gray ends up showing like maybe his is just like a more advanced version of his double slang magic, because he didn't use it in this fight at all, so I'm guessing Mishima is saving that. But like if his form itself is just advanced, that would be hype on top of it would mean it would carry over to anybody else's form. So Dragon Force, any of the Star Dresses, probably any of like Urza's upper armors. I don't really know what the plan is going to be with Urza in this one, just because like even in that circle of area, like my theories have been more towards Jalal than Urza of like if he ends up being part of this arc. Again, it's really weird when it comes to any character that isn't currently present, because like it's like, oh well, they're in a different they're in a different world right now, they're a completely different realm, so how would this character get there? But Selene just adds a complete and total key right into that. It's like anybody that Selene feels like she can go get. Like when I talked about how my theory that Gray was gonna fight Juvia, I never mentioned the fact that the reason I thought that is because like if Selene wanted to, like how hard would it be for Selene to go and get Juvia? Like if she saw like what was going on with Natsu and Lucy and saw that there was like a ship thing on top of everything else that was going on, she just decided to go get Juvia, and like she should know about them. Like I feel like she's intelligent enough either to know or should have the ability to find out. So it's one of those weird things. Like when I mentioned like that idea of Jalal being the arc, and I think personally there's a good amount of stuff that hinted at, especially near the end of like the wrap up going on post Alderaan fight, and when he embraced Urza underneath like the moon. I just feel like that was Mishima hinting at something, but we'll see exactly where that is gonna be brought to. But the thing though about it is Selene at any point could grab a character and bring him over. And it's not like the idea of like how do they get there so fast? Like any form of travel related questions gone. It's just up to Selene. That's one of the reasons I like Selene just in general. I'm trying to theorize stuff right now because she again is such a wild card moving around in this. But then like Aquarius just goes up to Wendy, and she's actually really smart in this. That's one of the things like I wouldn't expect any of the other main cast members to really think about it, just because they aren't a bit more like I don't want to use like I was gonna say evil, but not evil, but like kind of wicked like Aquarius can be. Because like the thing about Aquarius, like at the end of the day, is she is a bully, but she's one of those bully characters that actually just kind of she actually cares. Like she's not like actually trying to be mean. She just has a kind of like a little bit of a bully personality, but she like forces Wendy to drink a bunch of her water and says that it's poison, and that obviously triggering this yokai Wendy has her use raise, which curing abnormalities and like status effects is able to undo the yokai thing going on with her, which means the separation enchantment must be like an even higher degree of this, because it just clearing status effect gets rid of the yokai. It must mean it's not nearly as like high level as like what the separation enchantment is, or anything that it would require in order to be used on, in order to stop whatever possession thing is happening. This is weird. This makes me think it's more of like almost like they're given the energy of the yokai, because I assumed it was like Yoko took them and then like took a yokai, like the physical one, and then kind of like merged them together, but it doesn't seem to be that case. It seems closer to like how when Wendy used her Irene enchantment, she kind of gained her outfit. It's almost like they just took the power from it and put it inside there. Maybe that was the spiritual power that they got in general. It was like spiritual power but directed towards a certain yokai, and that's how it works. I do think that's kind of cool though in general, because it does give a little bit of just a little bit of evidence that might lead towards us eventually finding out more about how Yoko's power works before we end up getting the full explanation, which is fun to do in general. Like one of the obvious fun things to do while like things are being released is just trying to theorize stuff that we don't know yet for sure, just to work out the questions. But the thing is, like, I was very happy we at least saw Urza's yokai form. Like, this was really cool. A lot of people was thinking like she'd get kind of like a fox design or something. I think the Jiragumo was really cool, like super Dark Souls 1 vibes to it. She's coming out the top, she's got the sword, like just looking badass. The thing though that I really like about this design is what they do with Urza's hair. I'm kind of hoping that not kind of hoping, I am hoping that maybe like an evolved form of like an armor Urza has, or maybe a new armor she gets, can have this hair. Like, she doesn't have to have the rest of the design. Like, she can have an outfit that goes with it. But I really like Urza's hair up like this, and then with all the ornaments, it just is a cool look. It looks pretty badass on top of the big spider. I'm sure like in a really cool armor set, this whole like hairstyle and like I said, all the ornaments and stuff would look really cool. Regardless, I really liked Urza's form in here. Like, I wanted to get a fight with Urza, obviously. I've mentioned it multiple times in the last couple reviews and predictions and stuff. And then as well as I wanted to get Gray's advanced magic. But the thing is, like, at the end of the day, for one, I knew when Wendy got out it was going to be easy. But I was thinking more of it like the separation enchantment. But if this whole, like, yokai, business right now, the subplot, because that's what it really is at the end of everything. It is a subplot of what's going on in Elantir and in the Selene saga, or part of the 100 Years quest in the Selene part of the saga, rather. But the fact that it was just Ray's, Wendy is running through this. This is no problem for her. The second she got out, she's good. This plot is solved. But the reason that it was important that those two previous ones were kind of just rushed through. It's not that they were rushed through, is they were supposed to be very anticlimactic to what you thought. Because even, like, we even get a part when Happy comments on how Urza in this was kind of used as, like, almost more like a pun, like, when he's talking to Carl. Because that's the thing, it was more of, like, Urza is the most monstrous by far out of, like, the opponents, making her more scary. I was happy we got the design, but it's similar to, like, the stuff with Gray's, because Ray didn't have to really think around that problem, and, because Natsu and Lucy Aquarius all showed up, and Urza got, fixed immediately. And Selene was not happy about that. And I think that was more of the thing that was supposed to go on this chapter, of why you had the end of the, Aquarius stuff was at least still, from what we saw with Selene, she was entertained, but the other portions of the game they just set up just completely got solved and fixed. So everything around this was caused by Selene's wants, and it getting cut short, obviously them just screwing over to what Selene had planned. She's not happy about it. And that's again the bigger thing to take away from this chapter. Is though I would have, obviously I wanted both a fight with Yokai Urza. Obviously it would have been really cool just to see some attacks from her. But I'm very happy with what's going on with Selene in general. Like I've mentioned that I'm really happy that Selene has been out on display as much as she has been. Like, with Mercephobia, that arc was a lot smaller, but we got way more focus on the Dragon Eaters that arc, and then Mersobi was obviously, the big boss of it. Alderaan didn't even get up until halfway into the arc, and then a little bit more than half actually, but you know what I mean, like a good chunk of the way into the arc. And even after he got up, like there was a lot of focus on the God Seeds. We still got like a good portion of the God Seed Alderaan fighting, but Selene was up front and center like as soon as her arc started, and she has been consistently in the chapters as it's been going, and we've been seeing more than just one side of her. She's not just I'm big, powerful, angry dragon god. She's got a lot of personality to her, and we like seeing the sadistic side of too. But also last chapter when we saw her more like being more understanding and kind of like seeing like she's got more of a hand in like emotions outside of just being a bad guy. Because like Merch Phobia is different, and so was Ignia, but Alderaan was set on that pathway of just being big, powerful bad guy, and he did a really good job at holding up. He was kind of like the Zero of the dragon gods. That I think that's kind of the best way to compare it, because like Zero didn't have anything crazy of a goal or a personality outside of what was introduced and where it was kind of set. But you can have a character like that, and as long as they live up to the hype and they're entertaining, then you're good. And that's what pretty much Alderaan was, but it also gave us like some really good Natsu moments too. But Selene has just been constant this arc, and I've been really enjoying that. I've been really enjoying Selene as an antagonist, and I think she's been a lot of fun just seeing operate. But so I was actually really happy when I realized the like pretty much what Mishima is doing, because like I said, the stuff with Happy, Wendy, and Carla, like that was immediately cut, and then Urza's yokai form shut down, like within the same chapter. And then when you're reading that, you're like, oh damn, yeah, I didn't get to see either of these. But that was the point, because that's what Selene was trying to watch this, and she was even saying that nothing was distorted. She can't even enjoy a drink like this. She's upset, so now she wants Yoko to personally go out there and operate, because obviously, like we've seen, Yoko has been upset over this chapter and the last chapter about how her yokai, dealings and whole schemes haven't been holding up. So I'm hyped to see where that goes in general. But like, what is it gonna really mean with just Yoko? Because like with Urza and Wendy was one thing, but like if she goes against the entire Fairy Tail team, like the main cast team, there's no way she's gonna win. Especially because like we're gonna have the characters figuring out. They have to, like, if there's another full fight, there has to be like them either prior to or mid fight finding out about their advanced magic. And like now they have Aquarius too. Like on top of that, like Wendy like is probably gonna have a couple more enchants by the time she gets there. Because like I'm expecting within the next chapter or two to see Irene just kind of pop up and talk to Wendy a little bit, or Wendy just kind of strengthen her concept enchantment. Because that's the thing that's gonna happen too, is she's going to be able to just to give all of them the conceptual enchantment, give them all the ability to hit superior and stuff. So, like, them together is like, going to be easy. Because, like, Mimi and Yoko are along that same line, at least currently. Like, we don't know the full extent of their abilities, so I can't say for sure. But, like, Mimi and Yoko are... They're like the same kind of, like, area of, like, oh, they're formidable, but they're nothing kind of crazy. I don't expect them to be, like, some surmountable opponent to beat. Like... Not obviously comparing them to a boss, but really when you look at, the titled minions of, like, the main boss, like, whenever you have the selective group of, their entire plethora of goons to use, those guys should live up to some fair height. Hakune, Hakune, if it was her going up, I'd be like, okay, I don't know how they're going to get past her. Because right now, Hakune, despite only having, like, the one feat, like her ice already is very, very unfair, like at a conceptual level. It's okay, no curses, magic, or spiritual arts if this ice touches you and you can't do anything back at that. Like that's really unfair, because it's not like you get hit by something and you have a selective amount of time to figure out how to get around it. It's like you get hit by it, it's like you're done. You don't get to use your powers to like get out of it. There's definitely going to be limitations to it. My guess is there's just a level that she can kind of like box in with her I almost said magic, but her spiritual art. Kind of like, when you see a lot of like really crazy hacks, it's like there's a level cap that if you're above, their abilities aren't going to be able to like last on you. And it's like, and then you get to like a point where it's like they don't affect you at all. There's like breaking out way earlier, or eventually just being able to kind of like get free of her effect. And then once you get like way up there, because otherwise it'd be like, well, no, what's stopping her from beating Selene? Because you always got to take the limitations of these abilities into account. But if it was Hakune, I'd be way more intimidated, like, approaching the main cast whenever that happens. But Yoko, at least as of right now, I don't hold, like, a lot of threat level from her against the entire main cast. Granted, like, I don't think we've seen all the Moonlit Beauty Gods. It would be really surprising if Selene's entire, like, unit is really just these three. Because, again, Hakune is intimidating, but Yoko and Mimi don't have, like, a very bigger villain vibe. And, you know, their antagonist kind of presence doesn't hit, like, Hakune's, because Hakune, like, her design isn't supposed to look scary, but she has, like, that kind of, almost like, killer eye assassin vibe to her, where she has that dead eye kind of look in her eyes, but she's got, I describe it so poorly, just that dead-eyed visual lock on you while having that soft smile. It's kind of like a thing that they show a lot of times with like crazy killers and stuff in movies, but you know what I mean. Like, Mimi is strong, don't get me wrong, but she's definitely like a little goofier than the rest. But Hakune is definitely way more of a threat. I feel like there's going to be more though, because like at the end of the chapter, like obviously, like I said, Selene is now sending Yoko personally out to go deal with them, and like I don't know exactly how that's gonna really roll out. I don't think that she's gonna really last against all of them. But then we see Ferris and Toka, and actually really like there was a moment while they were talking right before Urza showed up, and they're saying, okay, we have to find Urza, and then Wendy's like, oh, I was with Urza, so you know, she should be here, because they're like, they don't know what happened to Ferris and Toka, so they don't know if they're obviously, you know, gonna be yokai'd up. Like, they have no idea at that point exactly what was next. But with Urza, because Wendy got gone through this, so that means Urza would. But like the fact that they're then talking about Ferris and Toka, and then the chapter ends with it. Though I really like the cliffhanger ending, because it's really interesting just off speculation. But I kind of wish that like they didn't have at least one of those, or maybe just had an extra page, because I really would have liked to just see an attack from the yokai Ursa. Like, I didn't need, if it wasn't gonna have to fight, I just would have liked to see an attack. Otherwise, like, I'm wondering exactly how this is gonna play out later. Maybe Yoko can do this to herself. I think maybe that would be a really cool way to kind of like to have it shape up. Is like any of her yokai that she's put into people, she can probably put in herself and gain their abilities. Obviously, similar to what Lucy has with Stardress, but you know, we can't just use what's on screen. And that would be a good way to make her more powerful. Like, if she could just do this with any of them, and it's like, we don't even know how, like, her strongest one yet, but it's like, if there's something that she has that's so powerful, she clouds onto herself and becomes, like, a huge threat, and it's like, oh, it takes everybody in the main cast to take her down, or maybe, like, them plus whatever their new abilities are, and they're able to put up, like, a good fight. I'd be pretty hyped about that, but, after that point, like I said, I would have really liked to see Urza just use an attack with it. If we can get Yoko doing it, then we can kind of just like carry it over Urza. Either way, going into like the end of the chapter, because that was like the big thing that I do wish that happened, because I was fine with them getting cut short really when I thought about it being obviously how it tied to Selene, but it's like, man, I wish we could have at least just seen like how Urza fights in this. But if we get to see Yoko do it, then I'll be fine with it. At the end of the chapter though, we have Ferris. She's like going to the Whiteout Village, and she's like, oh, there's no sign of anyone. She shows up, and there's a couple people, I assume dead, otherwise they're just unconscious in a ruined, like in an entire ruined village. And then there's somebody there. Now, there's 3 people that this could be. And one of them is like a theory that will make more sense. Like, I'll kind of just talk a little bit about it, but there's a video I'm planning on doing probably the next week or so. But the first person is the easiest one. It's a new minion of Selene, maybe another Moonlit Beauty God. Because, again, I feel like if it's just the 3, that'll be a little odd. That's because it's so few. And it's like, to give the entire bad guy group already would be very strange. And then it's like, if Selene only had this many strong minions, I feel like it'd be kind of odd. She doesn't need to have, like, a ton. Because it was different with Alderaan, because Alderoans were part of him. And the kind of more minion-based fights of the arc, if you kind of want to look at them, not the big climax battle, but more of the just scattered like more meaty battles that were going on. They were with other members of Fairy Tail, and then like with members of Diablos and stuff. And we don't have them yet. Who knows when they're going to show up? But could easily just be another one. I'm fine with it. I'm kind of hyped for any of the three options because there's number 2 where it's the Whiteout Priestess. And then the question is the Whiteout Priestess, is she with Selene or is she, going to be helping join the fight? Because what would be the point of them just standing there if like this entire village is in a ruin unless they just showed back up too? I don't know. Unless they're working with Selene, like she could be someone really, maybe more devious than thought. And the third person, potentially, again, this is potential. I know there's always people that will like hear me say like a theory and then think of that I'm saying for sure, and then you're just like, no, you're wrong. You don't know. That's like, no, I'm saying it's a theory. Is if it's Anna. And the reason that is just like theoretically, because of how powerful Anna is, then she should be able, I imagine, open portals and go to like the other dimensions. Because her level of opening and closing from being a celestial spirit mage, because on top of being a celestial spirit mage, the celestial spirit mage is the bigger thing about that, is celestial spirit magic stems from spatial magic. We know that from obviously the Mare and Hollow fight. For like, if you just understand how the power works in general, but obviously it's confirmed in the Mare and Hollow fight. But also her level of opening and closing, like when she says that she can just open and close gates, goes all the way up to mess with the space between time. That's a concept. So like, if you're strong enough to manipulate a hole in the universe that is literally done by like time travel shenanigans, putting strain on the concept of time itself, then you should be able to open a portal. Like, if she can't just willingly do it, like, it would have, like, if there was something like a, maybe some form of ancient gateway or whatever that is, like, the only way to get into Elentier, she would know, like, how to power it and, like, figure out how to operate it. Like, she should be. Like, if her level of celestial spirit magic is so high, like, she should be able to do it. I just feel like it'd be really weird if she didn't have like what would probably be way lower levels of spatial magic compared to like obviously where she should be at, being as high level as she seemed, but also again being able to mess with the space between time. Like, that is one of those things you don't really need to go into a whole lot of reason into anybody that is like anybody who can mess with something like that obviously is powerful. You don't have to anybody who's read the series, you can just say like, yeah, if you paid attention, that like by itself is such a huge benchmark of like strength and absurdity in terms of just their general power levels and stuff. But I feel like that's the Anna one is the least likely. That was just kind of like a because I have some videos I'm planning on doing up and coming, and one of like 2 of them actually probably around Anna. So that'll be fun when I eventually get to them. I got a couple things I gotta do first, but for now, I was happy that the reason that the chapter was done the way it was on purpose. It's kind of like when we had the Aquarius and Lucy moment, and people were saying like, surprised that it was like this like very more like heartfelt cliche thing, but that's exactly what Mishima was going for, and Selene even commented on it. So it's like, if he's doing it on purpose, you have to wonder why and see how things are unfolding, rather than think that it's just like he's just being lazy or something. It's obviously not the case. Because like I said, the 2 scenes being cut short, though I would have liked to see them, had more to do with Selene. And this, at the end of the day, is a subplot part of what Selene has been up to and what Selene is trying to push along. So how this is going to affect Selene and how we're going to see her as the arc continues, I think is more interesting. As much as I would have loved to fight against Yokai Urza, or if this to be a great chapter and we get to see like just great advanced magic, always happy to see some Selene content, because I like Selene already. I've displayed it. I'm a fan of her character. Obviously, like being like from everything that we have just going at the start of who she is, very powerful moon dragon goddess. She got her own dimension, so she's been very interesting as a character, and I've been happy to see that combined with her level of presence in this arc. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this chapter, and tell me your thoughts about what's to come up. These chapters are a little bit difficult just because like there's not a lot to kind of like hype you up for what's going on with the main characters. outside of Yoko is going to come down there and fight him, unless they get out or something until then. But it's not like if they ended up coming across this stranger at the Whiteout Village, just because you know that Ferris is a lot more dangerous and kind of like overall hypey, but like hers is gonna be weird because like she can't fight and Toka can't fight. So like, what are they gonna really do if this is an enemy? That's why I feel like the Whiteout Priestess or like something like Anna or something would make sense. But we'll see. Maybe if it's a member of Selene's crew, then it won't really it won't really kind of work out. Otherwise, actually, as a fourth person, just looking at the panel one more time, it could be Suzaku. It could be Suzaku and the Dragon Eaters, just because of the way that it looks like he's kind of robed, and then his hair kind of going down in the back. It could be him, and the way that like the face is angled is my guess. I'd probably put that though. I want to say probably second most likely. Actually, I want to put it like second or third most likely, because I think the easiest one is no. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it as my first most likely, because like it'd be weird if the Whiteout Priestess was there and then just kind of standing around amongst the rubble, unless like she's all hurt and damaged. With the Moonlit Beauty God, it would be kind of weird if they're just attacking the Whiteout village. Just all of a sudden they just decided to go wipe them out, and we don't know if there's more yet. There hasn't been a number stated of them. Whereas, like, with Anna's is the least likely one. Like, I'll admit that myself. Like, as much as I think, like, the idea of what Anna could be capable of is, I think, backed in just generally what we know about how, like, her position in the series and her magic. But I think hers is easily the least likely. That being Suzaku, I think, would be the most likely, just based off of if any of them... Actually, no. You know what? I'm going to put it as second and put the a new Moonlit Beauty God opponent first. Because, like, if it's Suzaku and he's just attacking these guys, then either it would mean that Diabolus fully is a bad guy group, or that they were attacked. Because they haven't really been shown as being evil yet. They've just shown as being dangerous and kind of wild. Because they haven't really gone after civilians or done anything wicked. It's mostly just been fighting members of Fairy Tail and stuff that have gotten in their way of their own mission. So, we'll see exactly what that is. I think the Suzaku one is the second most likely. Otherwise, like... if it is him, then I feel like that they had to attack him first. But we'll see. Anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, befriend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. I thank y'all for listening. Bye.